When I started my microlock journey, I started with heat damage, and I didn't take into consideration how that would impact my locks and how they matured along the way, or how they would react differently than those of other lock girlies that I've seen across the internet. But I will tell you, I have learned a thing or two along the way, and today that's what I want to share with you, is how to prepare your hair for locks if you are not currently locked, but if you are, how to maintain your lock with heat damage.
Soften up the mess, drop it in the water, let the daughter find an image with the rest.
So when talking about heat damage, I'm talking about when the protein bonds in your hair have been permanently altered, meaning your curl pattern is more relaxed than what it is when it grows out of your scalp. I'm not referring to split ends, breakage, and all of the things. I do believe that though the protein bonds in your hair have been altered, it doesn't mean that your hair is in a damaged state, because I do feel that you can have relaxed hair, you can have healthy hair. Now, what I'll do, if you're already locked and you just want to know how to manage your heat damage, I'll leave a timestamp right here and you can just jump ahead. But for those that are considering getting locks, then let's go ahead and jump into it, and let's talk about preparation. If you are considering getting microlocks, don't skip the prep phase. Make sure you do a thorough assessment of your hair. So you want to make sure that you don't have any breakage, weak spots, or split ends, because if you have damaged hair, then you're going to have damaged locks, and that's certainly not what you want. You want to make sure that you are going into this with a strong foundation. In addition to a thorough assessment, you want to do protein treatments. You want to deep condition your hair so that you are building your hair back up. I would recommend that you no longer use heat in your hair. I know when you are going through that transition phase, if you have heat damage or heat trained hair, to me it's all the same, because the bonds in your hair have been altered to have a more relaxed curl. You want to make sure that you are lessening the amount of heat that you use in your hair going forward, so that it also provides a stronger base when you're deciding on what type of technique that you're going to use. Speaking of install, what I would recommend that you do, because heat damage, your hair acts differently, okay? It's changed. It's not in its natural state. And everyone's hair is different. Everyone's journey is different. And then when you add another layer talking about heat damage, girl, now you have a whole another set of issues that you have to deal with. So just be mindful of that when you are considering getting microlocks. I decided to go into this journey and not trim my hair. Now, whether you decide to trim or not, that is totally up to you. And you do not want to sacrifice the length like myself, because I was not willing to cut my hair to get these microlocks, because I had already done a big chop for me because my hair had started to break. And this is why I'm talking about these things. When I started my journey, my hair was breaking. I decided to cut my hair into a bob to give it a fresh start. And then I just, on a whim, decided to get microlocks. But what I did do is make sure that I deep conditioned and prepared my hair for this time. Now, whether you are deciding to go to a loctician or you are doing a DIY, I would recommend that you go and have a consultation with a loctician. Now, hear me out. I know for you DIY girlies, you're like, girl, I'm just gonna slap these in here myself because I'm not gonna spend the money. Well, I think when you consult a professional, they can give you a different viewpoint. There are certain techniques that may not work for your hair, and you may not be aware of those things if you are doing your locks yourself. So I would recommend that not only do you go to one loctician, I recommend that you see a few, because all locticians are not created equal. When you're having these consultations, make sure that you are being upfront and honest with the concerns that you have about your hair, so that they can give you a true assessment and recommendation based on your hair. Managing your hair after install. Now, this was the part that I was not prepared for, because I was not honestly aware of how my hair would react now that I had my microlocks installed until they were installed. Now for me, my hair does not hold a curl. The manner in which you manage your hair after install is very important. And honestly, this is one of the things that I had not prepared for, because I really wasn't sure how my hair would react after the fact. I've seen other girlies with microlocks, and I just assumed that my hair would do the same things that the other girls did. Even though I've heard 1,000 times that everyone's journey is different, I did not consider that it would be that vastly different. But I'm telling you, for me, my journey was different. When I would see people locks mature, my locks weren't maturing like their locks. As a matter of fact, from the beginning, my locks didn't look like other people's locks. In fact, this is what my hair looks like right after my first retie. As you can tell, there's no curl pattern. There's no definition. I just have a hot, frizzy mess going on. And that's because my hair is heat damaged. When I first got my install, I braided and banded my hair every night because that's what my loctician recommended. Now, I didn't know that my hair would perform or look differently outside of those braid outs because I really hadn't had very much experience with it up until I got a retie. And then when I left my retie appointment, girl, this is what I was looking at. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. My hair looked a hot mess. There was no, let me go get a retie and then hit the streets. No, ma'am, I had to go home and do a braid out or do something to my hair so that it would look put together because it was frizzy. There was no curl definition. And I have a lot of loose ends. When I started, she only braided about 2 inches of my hair and she 2-strand twist the rest. Speaking of 2-strand twist and the technique that you use when you get in your Microlocs, my 2-strand twist came undone because my hair was heat damage. You see where I'm going with this? Because of the heat damage, my hair was not performing like other lock girlies that did the braid and twist method. Now my braids stayed because I had a stronger foundation where I allowed my hair to transition for almost a year without flat ironing or blow drying and all of that stuff because I wore wigs and cornrows and braids and that type of stuff. But all of the rest of that hair that I didn't want to trim off, it didn't hold a curl. If I played with the hair too much, once it was dry, it would lose the curl. So keeping your hands out of your hair is really, really important when you're going through this journey. So again, heat damaged hair, child, you do not know what you're gonna get until you are in the thick of it. Here's what I would recommend that you do. You can trim the heat damage off before you get your Microlocs, or if you don't want to do that, like me, I trim my hair now as I go. You want to make sure that you are braiding and banding. Braiding for me was a non-negotiable, okay? In order for my hair to look like something, I had to braid and band my hair. Now, what I found along the way is braiding and banding did help me out in the long run because it stopped my hair from bunching. It wasn't until I slacked up on braiding and banding that I started to see a little bunching. Again, heat damage, loose curl patterns, even my girlies that have permed hair and that are starting Microlocs. Please, please, please make sure that you are doing your braiding and banding because it will save you in the long run. And to be honest, Microlocs is a low maintenance hairstyle. Now, low maintenance does not mean no maintenance, okay? And if you are heat damaged or have a looser curl pattern, girl, then there is some maintenance, some additional maintenance that you're gonna have to do in order to maintain your hair. And for me, that was braiding and banding every night. I kid you not just when you wash your hair, you wanna braid and band it. No, I'm talking braiding my hair every single night. And nothing is more annoying than when you are so tired and all you want to do is throw on your bonnet or your scarf and go to bed. So just make sure you keep those things in mind when you are deciding to go into this Microloc journey. Another thing that you want to do when maintaining your locks is you want to make sure that you are maintaining the moisture in your hair. Now, what does this look like for a girly with heat damage? Braiding and banding. Braiding and banding. So if you are going to mist your hair with some water, I would recommend that you mist it and you braid and band. If you are going to mist your hair and walk out the door or not braid and band, when I say a fine mist, I mean, girl, I mean a fine mist, okay? Do not drench your hair. One of the things that I was dealing with was the dryness. So I'm not recommending that you do this. Please make sure that you are following the advisement of your loctician. But what I did was I was moisturizing my hair daily. Okay. Now, when I did this, I would braid and band daily because my hair needed the moisture. It was really dry. I used a light oil on my scalp. I know there are some locticians that tell you when you start your journey, whether you are doing sister locks or Microlocs, they tell you to stay away from the oil. Well, I knew going into this that I have a drier scalp. And if my scalp is dry, it becomes itchy. So in order to maintain the dryness, I had to use a light oil on my hair. And I tried to make sure that I was concentrating the oil strictly on my scalp as well as the very ends of my hair, because that was the part that is the oldest. That's the part that if I'm gonna have breakage, that's where it's gonna break at. So I wanted to make sure that I was maintaining my ends as well as taking care of my scalp. In addition to that, you have to think about that line of demarcation. And though you're creating a stronger base and foundation by braiding or two-strand twist or interlocking or whichever method you decide to go with, you do have to still keep in mind of that line of demarcation and how you manipulate your hair in experimenting with different styles. What you may find is your hair will start to thin or break at that line of demarcation. All right. If you have heat damage, that does not mean that you cannot get Microlocs. Your journey is just gonna look a little bit differently than others. So if you don't already have them, make sure that you are preparing and prepping your hair. You are having that consultation with a loctician so that they can advise what is the best practice for you, and make sure you are properly maintaining your locks throughout your journey, because you will have to take some additional steps. Though you are taking some additional steps, that does not mean that locks for you are unobtainable, because I am here to tell you that you can absolutely have healthy Microlocs or sister locks and have heat damage. Before I continue, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. Also, please follow me over here on Instagram and TikTok. I do share more behind the scenes footage and details on my hair journey and fashion. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning into my channel. As always, I love you and God bless. Bye.